And here we go. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for coming to hang out with me. Doing a little bit of fan art for my favorite band in the world, Love and Rockets. And it's not the comic book Love and Rockets, it's by the Hernandez brothers. It's the band Love and Rockets that formed from Bauhaus. But before we get into that, I'll show you here, that's the rocket and a heart, which is kind of their logo. And then I'm going to pull out some shapes here too. I've been experimenting with using a confined space in the form of a geometric shape and just doing my free form doodling in there and see how it turns out. And I've been kind of liking it. And in this case, I used the prism, the triangle, and put it around the logo here and just started going. I'm kind of just sketching out the edge of it there really light so that I can see it. I don't need to be an exact line. It's just a general area. And the marker I used to fill that rocket was way too light. It wasn't very dark, so I re-inked it with a different brush. And then here I just go in and start drawing the doodles, kind of just subconscious free-form doodling. I just try to sort of tune out and half pay attention and just let it take me where it takes me. No real direction, no real plan. I was listening to the new album it's not Love and Rockets, it's actually called Ashes and Diamonds, and the album is called Our Forever. And it's Daniel Ash's new side project with a guy from Public Image Limited and I think the bassist from Sade. And it's pretty awesome. It just came out and I was listening to it the first time while I drew this, and that's partly why I was in the mood to do some fan art as well. And I kind of wanted to make a t-shirt of it too, which I did. I'll see how it looks, but I can't get enough Love and Rockets t-shirts. And I hate band merch at concerts because the t-shirt quality is terrible. I don't know if you agree, but they're just so cheap and fit and crappy, and they cost a lot of money, and I never wear them because they fit awkward. But so here we go. I like these sort of little crossing over shapes, sometimes wires, sometimes these sort of angular tubes. And so Love and Rockets, if you aren't familiar, it's not the comic book by the Hernandez brothers, but it was inspired by that comic. They named themselves after it. There was an old goth band in the 70s, Bauhaus, if you aren't familiar, with Daniel Ash, David J., Peter Murphy, and Kevin Haskins. And Peter Murphy and Daniel Ash were kind of the lead singers, and Daniel Ash played guitar. And they put out a few albums, like Bela Lugosi's Dead, you probably heard if you've seen any vampire movie. And they were awesome. But then, they split up. Peter Murphy went solo and started doing this sort of dark pop music. And then the rest of Love and Rockets, the other three, Bauhaus left and started Love and Rockets. So it was just Daniel Ash and then David J. and Kevin Haskins, who were brothers. And for 20 or 30 years or so, they just put out tons of albums, and they were all amazing, and I love them. Anytime they've ever played in town, I've never missed them for the last 25 years. Before he started Love and Rockets, though, Daniel Ash did do another side project called Tones on Tail, in which he was with Kevin Haskins as the drummer, but with a different bass player. And they did this very sort of haunting kind of dark pop or something. I don't know if pop would be the right word, but it was very haunting, sort of trippy stuff. It sounded very experimental, but it was really cool. It's some of the best stuff he's ever written. And Love and Rockets split up long while back, 10, 15 years ago. They've done a couple reunion tours, but in the meantime, a few years back, Daniel Ash went on tour with a new project he'd set up, which was him and Kevin Haskins touring as Pop Tone. And Pop Tone was basically Tones on Tail. And their bassist was Kevin Haskins' daughter playing bass for them. And she's awesome. She has her own band too. I think it's her band, Automatic. Unless it's Haskins' other daughter. I could be, if I'm not wrong on that. But I went to see them several times too, and it was the first time I'd seen any Tones on Tail music played live, and it was great. Oh, so awesome. And I have a t-shirt of that, which is one of my favorite t-shirts still, but it's getting old and falling apart. So yeah, that's your goth rock history there. I used to be very goth in my 20s, and before I had facial hair, and it doesn't look good wearing goth makeup with facial hair. And plus at my age, yeah, I'm not even a raver anymore. But I did go see Underworld the other day, and I danced for 2.5 hours straight, so I can still rave like the youngins. But yeah, so here I've just kind of gone through this change in landscape. I had all those interconnecting shapes to this sort of melting surface there, it looks like, and then I stopped it with some sort of technological border with the loopy swirly shapes underneath, which is kind of one of my most natural motions of my hand, is like kind of swirly loop stuff. And yeah, like I was saying, this is just sort of a subconscious, stream of subconscious. No real plan. I just try to tune out on the music, sort of like if you're in a meeting or on the phone and you're doodling on a piece of paper with a ballpoint pen and you're just drawing, like you're just hatching or like drawing swirls or scribbles or things like that, just mindlessly doing it. This is kind of like that mindset, with a little bit more form and focus, but that's kind of what I'm going for and the sort of state of mind I'm trying for. So yeah, here's some more of those interlocking shapes I like too. So that's the biggest practice with this, and then I have a bit more direction with the music inspiring me. Sometimes I'll have photography up that I won't follow exactly, but it'll just be ideas to sort of inspire me and set me off in a direction. Same with this. But I don't usually like to have a ton of visuals, especially not movies, while I'm doing this, because it's too distracting and it's hard to get locked in. Whereas here I need to kind of get in the zone with that mindset. So music usually works best. A lot of the time I'll do synthwave, which is cool, spacey stuff, or some cool spacey techno or something would be cool. I do a lot of royalty-free synthwave on my live streams, which are kind of like what's in the background music here. Some of it's cool and some of it's pretty cheesy or gets old, but wish I could just play my Spotify playlists. But yeah, hope you're enjoying this. I'm curious if anyone else uses this sort of drawing method. This was shown to me recently by my friend John Mahoney, who's an amazing teacher as well, and it's sort of helped free me for drawing, from trying to make everything so perfect and just finished from the first line out. I just kind of abandoned all that, and it's really brought back a lot of joy of drawing for me. And it's a little bit like you're making marks here subconsciously, or just kind of what your natural hand motion feels best, sort of like expressionism, with your lines. And it's sort of like another method that some of you may have heard of called automatic drawing. And it's just another thing that a lot of artists in history have done, where they're just kind of noodling and doodling all the time on every surface. And some of the most well-known people that did that was Mobius was one of them. He's probably closest to influencing me, so that's where I remember him. And if you kind of Google it, there's a couple good videos on there on how to do it. Some people would do it as just a warm-up before they draw, but other people were doing it just almost subconsciously. Jack Kirby was another one who did it. And I think the guy I saw do a video on automatic drawing actually worked with Kirby as well, and saw him doing it when he was on the phone, just always drawing stuff. So yeah, it's great to just, and it'll make you get better even if you're not practicing specific things like anatomy and stuff. It's just moving these lines and trusting your gut and your subconscious to put something out that's good, will give you confidence in your line and your motions, and it'll make you draw better sort of naturally. And sometimes when you're doing this, another thing, and kind of showing me this mindset, John Mahoney, one of the best points he makes is, if you start with some shapes or doodles on a page and you're not liking it, don't abandon it. Just kind of slow down, breathe, kind of reset, and maybe turn the page sideways, or get a different pen or something, kind of reset a little bit, and then just kind of slow down and start going, keep going, do something else, and then keep filling that page. And a lot of the time you'll sort of get in the zone that way, because at that point you think you've ruined it, And so now you don't really care about messing it up. You know, you don't get too precious with the lines and everything early on, which can kind of be the death of, you know, the joy of drawing and good drawings a lot of the time, because it starts out good. You're like, this is great. I don't want to make a weird line and mess up the whole piece. There's kind of no way to do that, because all your lines are like that, and it just becomes, it forms this whole piece together when you're done. So yeah, if you're not liking it, just keep going, keep making shapes, turn it sideways, turn it upside down, and just keep going. It can be abstract. It doesn't have to be good, you know, it doesn't have to be good anatomy. If you're drawing people, just draw them with weird proportions. It doesn't matter. But just keep going. And sometimes those can be your best pieces, how they turn out. So I've had a couple I really liked that turned out like that. And I know John Mahoney, some of his favorite pieces were those ones that he thought were terrible when he started. So yeah, here we go. Getting close to the end. Hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully you can look up some of those things like automatic drawing, and check out John Mahoney's professional doodling course too. Highly recommend it. It kind of changed my whole direction and inspiration for art recently. And yeah, just get doodling, and I hope you liked my history lesson on goth rock and Love and Rockets and Daniel Ash, who are my favorites. But yeah, thanks for hanging out. This is about the finish, and it should fade to the finished piece here in just a sec. Yeah, I'm just erasing the pencil lines now out of there. Here we go. That's the finished one. And I'll have a t-shirt soon. Keep an eye out. I'll post a link. Thanks.